Today we're at Mount Zion Church in Wilkes County, Georgia. We're going to walk you through this beautiful historic church, give you some history on the church itself, and then we're going to explore the cemetery and see if we can find someone to honor by sharing their story. Thanks for joining us on Finding Kinfolk. I'm Bonnie, that's my husband Chris, and that's his cousin Alex Dunaway. Alex has been a member of this congregation since he was born. So not only is this church full of history, but it has special meaning to us as my husband's maternal family. They have been members of this church since they arrived in the area way back in 1914 in what is known as the Turpin Wagon Train. Mount Zion Church was, up until a couple of years ago, Mount Zion Methodist Church. They have since separated, as a lot of the Methodist churches have in the past few years. So Mount Zion Methodist Church starts actually with Grant's Meeting House, where a permanent congregation organized in 1787. It grew so rapidly that 3 years later, the Grants erected a church for its members near their house and store. It was about 5 miles from Washington, Georgia, and it's recognized as the first Methodist church to be held in Georgia. Grant's Meeting House was disbanded by 1819, 1820, when a large part of the congregation moved to the city and started Washington First United Methodist Church. So on the sign you can see it does say founded in 1787. That is referring to Grant's Meeting House. I can only imagine that the congregation that did not move to the city continued their fellowship at each other's homes or possibly on this same property somewhere. But it was about 30 years later before the Mount Zion Methodist Church built its first structure. The first known structure was on what they call Mount Zion Hill. So Alex, you said you know where Mount Zion Hill is, where the first structure was? Where's that about located from here?
Well,
A mile and a half that way, back in the middle of nowhere in the woods.
back in the middle of nowhere.
Probably
Okay.
wasn't all woods back then. It was probably mostly fields and farming land.
Well,
Yeah.
Was it?
well, except that ridge over there, because it was giant trees on it.
Yeah.
They've been cut down, I heard. I don't.
So the first structure around 1851, and there is paperwork showing that the land was officially deeded by Daniel Fouch to the Church of Mount Zion Methodist. But you could see where the structure was at the last time he went back there, correct, Alex?
Rock was where they
The stones that were left.
put it.
Old foundation.
Was there an old cemetery back there too, or has the cemetery
Never
always
see
been
it-
here?
You never see a cemetery.
No?
It could have been, though.
Yeah, it could have been. So the first structure was torn down and a new one was built in 1905, which is the same structure used today, of course with add-ons and changes over the years. But this is the church from 1905. From the book Wilkes County Churches by Joe Randall, it states when the second structure was built, they used as much as possible from the old church, which is what was always done in those days. So the book also does record a J.A. Turpin, which was actually Chris's great-grandfather and Alex's grandfather. In the book, it speaks of him as a very faithful member who would walk 5 miles just to go to church, even when there was only 1 or 2 people here. Okay, so you said that J.A. Turpin was your grandfather?
That's right.
And it was your sister who you used to walk with?
Yep.
Yeah.
My oldest sister,
Your oldest sister?
Louise.
Louise. So that was Louise Dunaway. And that they would walk all the way 5 miles to church, and sometimes Louise would say they'd be the only ones that would be here.
Yep.
He'd do it anyways.
Yeah.
Like the senior member of the church at different times, a lot of the Dunaways as well, right?
Yeah, probably Daddy was and Mama, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a picture over here.
That was
There's
before
one
we...
that shows the doors too, double doors.
Yeah, I remember. No, it is right here.
Oh, okay, so there's a picture of the double doors where the men and the women went in separately, men on one side, women on the other. And I believe there was a divider within the church as well that separated the men and women. That was in the early years. The proclamation for the church.
The porch out
Hanging
there and the
proudly.
steeple just a
Oh
bit.
yeah, I remember this. It
You
just
see
had
the
steps right here on
walls.
the front.
The walls show, in the ceiling shows the age. Isn't that beautiful? So in the book I read on the history of this church, a Mrs. Agnes Blanchard sent a large donation to the church in memory of her father, which was used for a building project. And that would have been what they used to do a lot of the updates in the church. According to this, it says they added 4 new Sunday school rooms, restrooms, a fellowship room, organ, and new pews. It goes on to say that Mrs. Ada Newsom and members of her family and the P.N. Combs family presented the church stained glass windows in memory of Philip Z. Combs, Charles E. Combs, and his sons. So here are the beautiful windows that are still in the church. You can see right down there in memory of our grandfather, Philip F. Combs and sons, Charles E. and Philip N. Combs. So this front railing right here and the pulpit back here, beautiful, beautiful pieces. These were originally in Grant's Meeting House. So these were in Grant's Meeting House. It was in the first structure at Mount Zion, and it's now here, still to this day, being used every Sunday. Beautiful. And this beautiful glass back here, and you can see right on there, in loving memory of J.A. Turpin, which is Chris's great-grandfather, the one the book wrote about being so faithful of a member that he would walk 5 miles to church. Right here, it says, in honor of Louise D. Burt, for the long years of service and dedication she has given to the people of Mount Zion Church, her love and concern for each one has meant so much. We love you, family and friends. Louise D. Burt would be Alex's sister, Alex's oldest sister, Louise Dunaway, who is the one that walked with her grandfather, J.A. Turpin, to church 5 miles. Here's a view this way. Isn't it beautiful? So from seeing that image, we know there used to be an entry probably where these rooms come in on each side.
Doors. There was a door there and a door here.
Okay.
And these were turned into classrooms. I don't know what year that was, but this door was not here.
So after this wall, this was all added on.
This was all added. I don't know what year it was. But this was all added. This used to be our classrooms.
That would be the new, well, that would be the new Sunday school rooms in the book that they talked about that they added on. This was your class and your mother was your Sunday school teacher.
Yeah, the older kids were in the class next door, and that was Wade, Alex's nephew, his mother, and all the other kids that were teenagers,
Your older brother.
Yeah.
So again, there's the picture. So the front of the church would have been like right here at these doors.
Yeah. Yeah, the back was a newer add-on.
Yeah, I'm just getting this again. This is just so beautiful knowing that's from Grant's Meeting House.
This used to be all painted white when I was a kid.
The altar and everything, or?
Yeah, and Daniel was actually one of the ones who cleaned it all up and repainted it.
And Daniel's his brother. So they had it painted white and his brother cleaned it up, cleaned all the paint off of it and restained it. And it looks amazing. So this is the other add-on back here. This is the little kitchen. And then this was all added on.
So this is one of the tables and chairs that were in the classrooms when I was a little kid. And if you look at the names scratched on the top of it, you'll see some of our names.
Yeah, you probably colored all over it.
And these were the original chairs, the oak chairs. That might be fine. There were some oak ones too.
Huh. Okay, in memory of Bright Turpin, Amy Turpin, and Annie Jackson.
Here's another one of the tables. It's got it's covered up, but you can kind of look on here and see all the drawings and stuff when we were kids.
Yeah, that you did.
I think Wade did a lot of that too.
All right, one more look at the inside of Mount Zion Methodist Church. And again, those are structures from Grant's Meeting House right here.
And me and Daniel would always run them up and down the hall to light the candles.
You ran with it?
No, we walked.
Okay,
Me and
just
Daniel
making
crossed
sure.
when we were little, me and my
We
brother.
would walk them.
We'd light them and light the candles every morning. But yeah.
So now it's time to explore the cemetery. and see what we can find out there.
Child, I know.
It's a lot of cement. Granite, that makes more sense. This is the side. We're just walking around the church really quick so you can get a whole view of the building. So let's see here. So you can see where that door is that was added on. So the building started right here and went up to that corner. So they added on the front and the back. The original structure is this center part where they worship. There's the steeple. When was the steeple added? They had a fire in the church when it got struck by lightning.
Yep.
So that's when Chris was a teenager. Here's this is for Chris's grandfather, Bright. And so Rosa, was that your grandmother?
Yes, Rosa Marie.
Rosa Marie.
Rosa May.
Rosa May. This is son. This is Charles. So this was your uncle.
Yeah.
This is a very special person to us. This is Aunt Sarah. It's hard to believe it's been about 3 years since she passed away. She was an amazing woman. Yeah, that's nice. I bet you Alex had a part in that. Some more ropers. Oh, these are beautiful stones here. The Newsoms. That's beautiful. Oh, that is marble. Hubbard. 1817 to 1884, Martha A. Yeah. That one's marble too. Oh, that's
Yeah, these are the
cows.
oldest ones. These are some of the oldest ones here.
Philip F. Combs and Sarah Garrard Combs. So guys, I think it's hard to decide, especially with so much family, so many stories out here, but I think I found the one that I'm going to honor by telling his story, just because the name was also mentioned in the church. We're gonna look into Philip F. Combs. But I can tell you what we know already. One thing I can tell you with this church, the land, I believe I said earlier, it was deeded by a Daniel Fouch who gave the land. Daniel Fouch was married to a Combs. I remember looking at that when I researched the church. And I see on Philip F. Combs' tombstone, he was born in 1811, so he arrived after the Revolutionary War, and he passed away in 1896. So that means he was well into adulthood during the Civil War. So we'll take a look and see what else we can find on him. We're gonna find your story, and we're gonna let everyone know all the amazing things you probably did. What'd you find over there, honey? Fouch? Is it Daniel?
JNCC Fouch.
Oh, okay, yeah, Fouch. Willie D. And it was a Daniel that gave this land. So thank you to these ancestors. Oh, look, you can see.
A lot of these are just rocks and stones. I don't know how the heck stones will.
Rocks and stones. I guess I can walk over a little farther and see what this says. Waters. I don't know if you guys can read that on there, but that's Waters. Yeah. What's that old building there? Just an old shed? Oh, that was an old outhouse. Oh, it is. Look at that. So before the add-on with the bathrooms, here was your outhouse for the church. So Chris's mom used that when she was a kid. So these over here are very old. These are bells. our mother, our father, cartilage. There's another Bell, Eliza Bell. It's a beautiful headstone. Shetty Grady, son of J.T. and S.E. Kendrick. Sarah Elizabeth Bell Kendrick. Hudson. So many old, beautiful graves. So many stories. So that's just an old family lot, you said?
Yeah, there's no headstones in there.
There's nothing marking anything. I can only imagine that could have been the Fouches. Maybe they're an old family cemetery. That's only a guess. It's Adams. Gilbert.
1870.
Yeah.
And some of these writings just pretty
Yeah.
much.
William F. Hyman. He was military, Confederate, Civil War. Cooper back there, William T. Cooper. Branham. A lot of these names I recognize as some of the first colonials, the first settlers in Wilkes County, their families were. And a lot of these people gave everything to Mount Zion
I know this
Methodist
name.
Church. Cooper, yeah.
Cooper.
It's an old Wilkes County name, and it's a big name for this church. And you look at this, and you have the one headstone, but you know that this is a whole family in here. You can see little stones.
I'm gonna come out and look because it's there's stones out here in these woods.
Yeah. It'd be
pretty
interesting to look. And back that way is where Alex was referring to, where the Mount Zion Hill would
So
be.
there's a ridge that runs over here. It starts here and runs all the way back over near our property. Across the road from our place, goes down to Long Branch, and there's a big ridge. Well, that ridge is where the old church was.
Okay, so the ridge is where is what they referred to as Mount Zion Hill.
Yeah.
It's nice to just walk around and, you know, just reminisce about family, especially this has so much meaning to you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you enjoy walking around?
I did.
You did? Okay. Well, I think now we're going to go back and we're going to look and see what we can find on Mr. Philip F. Combs. And just honor him by maybe sharing some more of his story. It should be interesting. I know he had a lot to do with this church. His name is all over the church. And as I said, I do remember seeing a record in my research on the church that Daniel Fouch, who gave the land, was married to a Combs. Which makes sense. If you look at the plots over there, there's a Fouch. Yeah, there's a lot of Fouch and Combs.
Fouch or Fouché. They're Fauci.
Fouch or Fouché. You guys tell us. What is it? Fouch or Fouché? I'm going to say Fouch because this is the South.
Fouché. Maybe it's French.
Maybe they just called them Smiths. Well, that was a lot of fun. I hope everyone enjoyed going and visiting the church and the cemetery as much as I did. We're definitely going to go to more churches around here. There's so many old historic churches, so many old historic cemeteries, lots of people to visit. We'll definitely even maybe go back to Mount Zion Methodist and choose another person to honor. You know, that cemetery in particular, it has a lot of Chris's family in it. However, there's still a lot of people that aren't related and we don't necessarily know a whole lot about other than maybe seeing or hearing their name through the church somewhere. So that was fun. But let's continue because now we're going to see what we can find out about Mr. Philip F. Combs and honor him by just telling his story. Philip Fowler Combs Jr. To know his story starts with his parents. Philip Fowler Combs Sr. married Elizabeth Eidson, and they had several children, including Philip Fowler Combs Jr. Mr. Combs Sr. registered for military service in Wilkes County, Georgia in 1783, meaning sometime before then he moved his family from Virginia, making the Combs family some of the first settlers in Wilkes County. Mr. Combs Sr. served our country in the militia during the Revolutionary War in 1781 and 1782. Philip Fowler Combs Sr. left this world in 1837, and Mrs. Elizabeth Eidson Combs left us in 1857. Mr. Philip Fowler Combs Jr. married Miss Sarah Garrard, and they had at least 10 children. 3 of his sons served in the Confederate Army during the Civil War. They all served together in Company A, 9th Regiment, Georgia Volunteers, and then Company C, 11th Battalion, Georgia Artillery, also known as Sumter Artillery. It is documented on January 20th, 1862, that Mr. Combs surprised his 3 sons and their unit with a visit to the Irvin Artillery Camp, which was at the time of his visit in Virginia. He was able to take letters home for the soldiers and from all accounts lifted the spirits of everyone. Less than 6 months after Mr. Combs' visit to the soldiers, his son George B. Combs died. It's not clear if it was from being in battle or illness, but he passed away on June 1st, 1862. Then on April 3rd, 1865, his son John A. Combs died in the Battle of Fort Gregg. His 3rd son serving, James Thomas Combs, is the only of the 3 that would make it home after the war. Mr. Philip Combs Jr. was a highly respected and honored man. He was a member of Mount Zion Methodist Church for 68 years and a local preacher. He passed away at 85 years old. At the time of his passing, he had about 75 grandchildren and 20 great-grandchildren. He loved his church and never missed a service unless it was due to illness. He was buried on a Sunday afternoon, and his services were conducted by Reverend Mr. Timmons. I'm very honored to tell the story of Mr. Combs. He definitely lived a life worthy of us paying respect to him and his community. He's left a legacy that is still rooted in Wilkes County and I'm sure in many, many other places. I've really enjoyed doing this episode. It's such a great feeling. I just love the stories of just your everyday people from their time. Everyone has a story to tell, and I want to share those stories with you guys. We'll definitely come back to Mount Zion Methodist. This church is special since it is tied so closely to my husband's family. However, we don't know everyone in the cemetery, and if I can find information on them and share their stories, then I'm thankful to do so. We'll also be visiting other churches. I thank you all so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this content, make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you next time on Finding Kinfolk.